Paddy's gearing up for the GAA All-Ireland Football and Hurling. For all live TV championship games, it's money back as a free bet if your losing first goal scorer scores a goal anytime. Max £20. Excludes shops. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hello and welcome along to the podcast. I'm David Jennings from the Racing Post. Now, it is the biggest weekend of the year so far in the GAA world, but unfortunately IT has got stage fright for the big occasion, and we are without any legendary guests on this occasion, but we have got a legend from Paddy Power on the line to guide us through the action in the shape of hotshot odds compiler Damien Fitzgerald. Damien, how are you?
I'm not too bad, David. We'll make do.
We're sailing the ship on our own today.
That's it. Plenty more balls. That's what everyone wants anyway, I'm sure.
Exactly. We've actually got people ringing in saying we want more. We want to hear more from Damien Fitzgerald. So that's what they've got. They've got Damien Fitzgerald on his own today.
That's it. Sure. We'll hopefully pick
now, as ever, we're going to start with our quick fire questions. The traditional and controversial start to the show. So for Damien Fitzgerald from Paddy Powers, your first quick fire question is: what was the biggest bet struck with Paddy Power last weekend, and who was it on?
Our biggest bet last weekend was on Mayo, and it was 16k on Mayo. But wow. That might sound bad now, but it was on the draw no bet market, so he got it back.
Oh my God! What price was that?
That was 1-8 on the draw no bet, so it was to win 2k, and I'm sure he was sweating, but he got his money back at the end of the day. We moved on.
Wow, Jesus! Yeah, you almost kept it.
We did. We'll go again.
Okay, number 2. What anti-post bet are Paddy Power sweating on most?
Well, one thing we definitely wouldn't want, because we've been laying it at all sorts of prices, is the Galway double to win both All-Irelands. Like I was working it out earlier, it was like 225 to 1 at the start of the year. It's into about 33s now, and if that was to click, we'd have to see about next year.
Now, I'm putting my neck on the line here, but I think you're probably safe enough, I think.
Hopefully.
Yeah, well, if Galway footballers win the All-Ireland, I think it would be a big shock to most people, but that's quite an interesting one. So the Galway double is what Paddy Power are sweating on most. So you could be out of a job, Damien, if Galway do the unbelievable and win both hurling and football this year. Okay, that's so number 3. Number 3, what team are likely to go off much shorter in the market this weekend than they are at the moment?
I'm not sure they're going to go off much shorter, but I can definitely see Cork going off a bit shorter. It's just, obviously they're in the Munster final, and the Cork hurling sport is massive, and when they start going well, we start to see a lot of money coming in on Cork, so we've been laying them fairly heavily during the week, and we haven't been seeing much for Clare, so I would imagine that Cork will go off a little bit shorter than they are currently anyway.
And then for punters out there, what is the time for the big punters to get stuck in? Do they wait for team news, or is most of the big bets struck by now, or is it just in the half an hour leading up to kick-off?
No, generally once you get to Friday, you'd start seeing bigger bets. There'd be a trend all during the week. You'd see a trend of bets coming on one side, but it'd be towards Friday and the weekend that you'd really see the bigger bets coming in.
Quite interesting. So Cork are going to go off much shorter for the Munster hurling final.
I'm not sure much shorter. I think they'll go off shorter though.
We love exaggeration on this, Damien. I would say much shorter. It'll be slashed into 2 to 7.
That's it. If you want to back Cork, do it now.
Do it now. Okay, Cork for the Munster hurling title. So quick reflection upon last weekend's action, Damien. First of all, what price are Galway now after their Leinster final triumph?
Galway are 13 to 8 now. They're in from 15 to 8. You might think they might be cut a little bit more after winning Leinster, but the way the draw is going to work out, it looks like they're going to have a fairly hard road. Looks likely enough that they're going to have to play Tip in that semi-final, and coming in after 4 or 5 weeks off, they're not going to be short for that game. So that's kind of where the price is working out now.
And do you think, do we now pile into Galway for the All-Ireland? Is now the time to back them, or would you be having a little hesitant approach and waiting until the semi-final draw is known?
Well, they couldn't have been much more impressive so far. They've done everything you could hope for, really. But what have they beaten is one question. Probably not a lot. And Galway haven't won an All-Ireland in 29 years. There's going to be a lot of pressure on them. There is a kind of a feeling that it's kind of this year or never now for this team, and it's going to be a lot of pressure, and they're going to be coming in after a long break into that All-Ireland semi-final with 5 weeks off, so I think they could be a little bit vulnerable there. against a team that will have played a few qualifier games and will be on a bit of a run maybe.
And where do you see the weaknesses in this Galway team? 1 to 15, they look to the outsiders looking in. They look to very few chinks in their armour, but I'm sure there are weaknesses somewhere. If a team is to get at Galway, perhaps Tipperary, where can they hurt them?
Well, looking at their game so far, you could say you couldn't spot too many weaknesses, but the one weakness you would spot is that Galway aren't scoring goals. They haven't really scored many goals so far in the championship. And if another team that is capable of scoring goals, like Tip are very capable of scoring goals, whatever form they're in, so if they score goals, Galway will give Galway trouble just to try and outpoint them, because they don't really seem to be going for goals. They seem to be happy enough to take their points, but if another team starts getting goals against them, it's going to be hard to get them back, I think, for Galway.
Quite interesting. Like even not to be able to get a goal against Offaly was quite remarkable, really, and scoring 33 points as well. Yeah,
definitely.
And the other end of the other side of the coin, Wexford obviously bitter disappointment for the Model County last Sunday. They came to Croke Park in their tens of thousands, and there was a sea of colour. Great spectacle, but they were just outclassed in the end, weren't they, Damien? It was just a case of one step too far. But can they have an impact in the latter stages of the championship, do you think?
They were, last week. Like they played well enough. Like the thing was, they had to be ahead at half time. After playing so well in the first half, they really had to be ahead at half time. And once they didn't, and then missing the penalty, the kind of writing was on the wall. Like I think the thing you'd say, looking at Wexford, is maybe they don't have enough going forward, and that probably won't change in a couple of weeks as we go further on into the championship, and kind of needing a bit more going forward, I think, at this stage of the championship, and I can't really see them making that much of an impact. I think it's been a great year for them, and they'll go back and look at it again and maybe come again next year, but it's hard to see them doing much from now on in this year's championship, I think.
And as you said, it was that first half display, really, wasn't it? It was they were so superior for maybe 15 minutes of that half, and they really didn't make a count on the scoreboard, and some crucial missed frees as well.
I think Wexford have a problem with free taking. Conor MacDonald, to me, isn't a good enough free taker for a team of that level, and I think they maybe have other options to take the frees, and maybe they need a switch there. But you can't be missing frees at like that level of hurling. Like it's just giving away points, and when you're struggling to score anyway, it's always going to be difficult.
Absolutely. Now, we do know that Galway are the Leinster hurling champions, but we are yet to find out who the Munster hurling champions are. We'll find out at just before 6 o'clock on Sunday. And Cork and Clare, a novel Munster final pairing. I suppose at the start of the year, very few would have predicted this final, but this is what we've got. And what's Paddy Power's prices on Cork v Clare, Damien?
Our prices are 8-11 Cork on the match, 9-1 to draw, and Clare at 7-5. Cork -1 handicap 10-11, 10-1 the handicap draw, and Clare +1 or evens.
Now, we've kind of half given away the secret in that we think that Cork are going to go much shorter than they are, or even slightly shorter than they are at present. Does that tell me that Damien Fitzgerald from Paddy Powers fancies Cork? Looking at the games both these teams have played in the championship so far, you'd have to fancy Cork, really. Like, they couldn't have been more impressive in their first two games against Tip and Waterford, and it was impressive as well. Like, they were two very different games. Like, playing against Tip and playing against Waterford, two teams set up very differently. So you'd say one would maybe suit Cork, one wouldn't. But in both games, Cork did everything they had to do, and they got their tactics spot on in both games. And do you think then, like, this is going in against Tipperary, they were underdogs going in against Waterford. This is the first game that they're favourites for in the championship this year, and it's the Munster final, and they've got so many young stars that are going to blossom over the next couple of years. Could this big mammoth occasion get to this Cork team, do you think?
I think that would affect some counties, but I don't think Cork is one of them. I think like Cork always have the arrogance, and they always think that they should be in Munster finals. And people are saying it's a young team, which it is. They have like 4 or 5 young lads, but there's a good bit of experience there as well. Like I'd say about 9 or 10 of this team is after playing in an All-Ireland final. So it's not as if they do have young players, but there's a good blend of experienced lads that have been there a good while as well. So it wouldn't really worry me from that side.
And these youngsters, like, what have they brought to Cork? Like, what have we seen from Cork this year that we didn't see last year?
Well, one thing the youngsters have brought definitely is pace, but pace, particularly Shane Kingston, like he's very, very fast, one of the fastest hurlers going, and like you wouldn't want to be marking him anyway. But the main difference I'd see between Cork looking at them this year to last year is just work rate. Like last year there was a lot of lads just standing around and they weren't really putting in the big effort that you need, but this year they're all over teams, especially in the forwards. They're hooks and blocks. Like it would always been a criticism of Cork that the forwards work rate wasn't high enough, but Kieran Kingston really actually seems to be after changing that. And when you see the likes of Patrick Horgan putting in the work rate, getting in hooks and blocks, it's a really great sign for Cork compared to the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're certainly and they're great to watch, like, aren't they?
Oh, they are. Yeah, the thing is, there'll always be a lot of skillful hurlers in Cork, and once they're set up, and now the bit of youth and like Lehane, that's a deadly forward line. Like Lehane, Harnedy, Horgan, Kingston, like any of these lads can beat you on any day. So like Clare are going to be up against it, I think, this weekend.
Now Cork got 227 in their win over Tipperary. They got 23 points in their win over Waterford. Now, one of the bets the punters like to do is a total points bet, and you've set the spread at 49.5 points for the total match points. Would you be in favour of going under that or over that? Could you see this being a high-scoring encounter, or could it be a little cagier than people are expecting?
I think it'll be a high-scoring encounter, to be honest. If I was going either way, I'd go higher. I think Cork are always going to score in the 20, 24, 25 points, and Clare, the one reason to give Clare a chance in this game is I think they've more of a goal threat than Cork, with like Shane O'Donnell, Aaron Shanahan, like they're goal scorers, which maybe Cork doesn't have to the same extent. I think it'll be a high score and be a nice day in Hurless Munster final. I think it'll be a high score, and I think it'll be a good game.
Okay, so well, hopefully you're right anyway. And another couple of bets that people are interested in, obviously, is first goal scorer, man of the match, and obviously we're relying on experts to pick the right man of the match, and unfortunately they didn't do so in a Tyrone match a few weeks ago when Niall Sludden didn't get man of the match. But anyway, I've got over that slowly but surely in the last 3 weeks. But man of the match, Damien, where would you be looking here?
Man of the match, it might seem like the obvious one, but I'd be going Conor Lehane, I think, for Cork. He was very, very impressive in his first two matches. Himself and Mark Coleman kind of could have shared man of the match either day, really. But Conor Lehane, even the last day he was meant to be carrying an England knock, and he got 4 points in the first half. Like, he's always going to be very, very dangerous, and I'd expect this game to be open enough, as I was saying. So he's always going to be there, and he's probably going to get like 3 or 4 points in play at least. So at 9-1, I would definitely give him a big chance.
On man of the match, and first goal scorer, anybody tickling your fancy in that?
Say for first goal scorer, I reckon Clare are more of a goal scoring team than Cork, so I'm going to go with one of the Clare players. I think I tipped him one of the last times I was on as well, but Aaron Shanahan.
14-1 looks a huge price.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the fella. Like he's a full forward.
He's 14-1 for man of the match, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 40. He's 7s for first goal scorer.
7s, okay.
You had me worried there for a second. Yeah, I think like he's a typical full forward. He'll get the ball, he'll put his head down, go straight for goal, and Clare really do look like they're going to score more goals than Cork. They have that more of a cutting edge. They go for goals more than Cork. So if I was backing first goal scorer, I think Aaron Shanahan would be my man.
Now I'm going to put this to you, Damien Fitzgerald from Paddy Power. Clare, basically, a lot of people, so I was talking to somebody during the week and they said to me, Cork are so cocky, did you even know that Clare were in the Munster final? And it seems to be that way even in the build-up to the game. It's all Cork, this rejuvenated Cork side. Surely this is the perfect way for Clare to be coming into the match. They're coming out of the long grass. They were workmanlike rather than impressive in their victory over Limerick, although they still scored 3-17. They've got Tony Kenny, Conor McGrath. They've got Shane O'Donnell, who was brilliant, scored 2-2 against Limerick. They've got, Aaron Shanahan is a goal threat. They have forwards, and could this be the perfect prescription going into a match for Clare? Could this be the time for Clare to see that type of flair that saw them win All-Ireland? Surely this is the perfect occasion for them to shine.
You definitely, like, Clare are coming into this game perfectly. Like, all the pipes on Cork, as you were saying, like, you'd barely know Clare are in the match, to be honest. The thing about Clare is, like, if you look through those forwards, on paper they look really, really good, but they've looked really good on paper for the last few years, and, like, to win this match, they're probably going to have to put in a performance that they haven't put in since winning the All-Ireland back in 2013. And really, like, these lads are all, like, they're not young anymore. They're coming up to mid-20s. So it's really, I think it's a big game for this Clare team. If they win it, they're back in an All-Ireland semi-final, and you'd say they'd have a great chance then. If they lose it, things might kind of go away from them. And, like, it's great having all these players that on paper look very good, but you need to do it at some stage. And they are a bit small as well in the forwards. They're all very, very good hurlers, but physically, apart from John Conlon, there's not really a lot of ball winning ability there. So I think, Clare are coming into it great, but they need to put in a performance of a standard that we haven't seen for a good while from them.
So to sum up then, Damien, the best bet on the matchday coupon Cork v Clare is?
Actually, we're talking about it. I like the overs, over 49.5. I think that's a good bet.
Okay, and my banker of this is Clare to score over 1.5 goals at 4-5. As we said already, I think they've just got so much goal threat everywhere you look. They've potentially 4 real first goal scorer candidates, and I could see them rattling the net on a couple of occasions, like they did against Limerick. So there you go. That's the Munster hurling final taken care of. Hopefully, it's the cracker we all hope it is going to be. Now, there's a huge qualifier clash on Saturday evening at Semple Stadium. One of Kilkenny and Waterford are going to be out of the championship on the second Saturday in July. Who would have believed it? Now, I'm going to put a couple of things to you first, Damien, about Kilkenny. These are quotes from a regular contributor to our GAA podcast, John Milan. This is what he had to say about the Kilkenny hurlers in the last couple of weeks. Here's the quote: Kilkenny hurlers should strap themselves into a time machine and prepare for a return to the lean years of the 1990s. For me, they're nearly like Muhammad Ali boxing in the 1980s. He's on the ropes, and all he's looking for now is someone to come and knock him out. Would you fear playing them? You wouldn't fear playing them. I think that within this Kilkenny camp, there's going to be an awful lot of doubts that you've never seen before. That was John Milan, the cheerleader at the front of the Kilkenny coffin, safely leading them to their grave. Is he right? Is this Kilkenny team dead and buried, Damien Fitzgerald?
I think you might be being a bit harsh there, and I'm sure Derek McGrath wouldn't thank him for saying that coming into this weekend's game. I think Kilkenny, like, they're obviously not as good as they were a few years ago, but like, I don't think they're going to go back miles back. Like, they'll always be contenders. They're not going to be main contenders, but they're always going to be in the top 4 or 5. There's too many hurlers in Kilkenny for them not to be. And
no time machine back to the 1990s, no?
No, as long as Cody is there, I think they'll always have a chance, and they'll always produce players. Like, and there's some very good players on that Kilkenny team still. They just need to add probably a few more young lads. And looking at their under-21 team the other night, there could be a few players coming through that they probably haven't had in a few years. So they're always going to be a threat, I think, Kilkenny, to be honest. But obviously they're going to come back to the pack, and they're not the same team as they were like even 2 years ago, probably. So
a few prices on this match, Damien.
Prices are 5-6 Kilkenny, 10-1 to draw, and 6-5 Waterford. Kilkenny -1, 11-10, 10-1 to handicap draw, and 5-6 Waterford +1.
So you're giving me the impression that you're slightly veering towards the Cats, are you?
I am. Yeah, it's a hard game to call really, because like both these teams' form isn't really where you want to be. Like, everyone is talking about Kilkenny's form being poor, which it is, but that Waterford performance against Cork in the Munster semi-final was also very poor, and like definitely wouldn't make me want to back them. Like, I think in a tight game, Waterford they're always going to have a bit of a hang-up about Kilkenny. Like, they probably should have beaten them in the All-Ireland semi-final last year. Both days, you could say, really. And Kilkenny just find a way to win games, and I'm not sure Waterford have that yet. So I think it'll be tight, and I don't think it'll be particularly impressive, maybe. But Kilkenny, I'd be definitely on the Kilkenny side. And Justin, the draw is obviously a big runner as well, because we had the draw last year, and the last couple of years ago in the qualifiers they drew as well. So the draw at 10-1, I wouldn't put anyone else back in that either.
Yeah, Yeah, no, it certainly is likely to be tight anyway. And would you read much into Waterford's landslide win over Offaly? Obviously, they got the job done. They hit a huge score. Austin Gleeson back to form, 6 points from play. It might give them that little bit of confidence for all that they were expected to win quite convincingly.
The main thing there would be Austin Gleeson back to form, which is obviously, if Waterford are going to do anything, it's something that they would need. I wouldn't really read a whole lot into it. Like Offaly are very, very poor, and it's going to be a completely different standard now this weekend. Like Kilkenny maybe coming through a tighter game against Limerick, where they had to battle, you could say, maybe help them a little bit more. It's going to be a very tight game. But in a tight game between Kilkenny and Waterford, I think I'd always pick Kilkenny.
Now, on the betting side of things, Damien, there's one bet here that I think is constantly too big of a price, and you'll be able to fill me in on this. Last weekend, we saw Kilkenny beat Limerick 20 points to 17. Galway weren't able to get a goal against even Offaly to score 33 points. I think the most goals in any game in the hurling championship this year was Clare's win over Limerick, where there was 5 goals in the game. Usually we see so many goals in the hurling championship, particularly in the early rounds of the qualifiers. But the lack of goal scoring in matches is really interesting. And for no goal to be scored in the Kilkenny Waterford matches, 12-1 with Paddy Power, is that now, given what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, a shade too big?
Yeah, I basically agree with everything you said there. I was going to come on and did that myself, actually. I think, I think it depends on the teams then. Obviously, if like the likes of Clare or Tip are playing, no goal price can probably be 20-25 to 1. But like with two teams like this, they're going to keep it very tight, and there's going to be very few chances at this in a match like this. So 12 to 1, yeah, I think 12 to 1 is probably okay. Yeah, I wouldn't put off anyone backing it, definitely. 12 to 1 could be, yeah, I think it's a good bet, to be honest.
Yeah, like to put that in perspective, under one, you're going from 12 to 1 to 130. For one goal to be scored, it's 130, whereas no goal scored 12. That's a big difference.
It is, yeah, it is. It's just generally in a hurling game, like, no matter how defensive teams are, there is going to be goal chances, and like you might even that Kilkenny Limerick game last week. Like Kilkenny had a few very good goal chances. But you're going to need a little bit of luck. But at 12 to 1, the price is probably worth taking a chance.
Yeah, well, I got there first, so I'm putting that up as my bet for this match. No goals at 12 to 1. What will your best bet on the coupon be, Damien?
I think this could be an unders game. It looks kind of low scoring for me. It looks very, very tight. So under 44.5, 10 to 11. I think that could be a good bet. Okie doke.
So the appetizer at Semple Stadium on Saturday is All-Ireland champions Tipperary on home soil against Dublin. Dublin cribbing and crying about having to move out of Croke Park and Parnell Park. They're in Semple Stadium against the All-Ireland champions. I presume it's fairly lopsided betting here, is it?
Yeah, it's probably not as lopsided as if Tip had beaten Westmeath by more than 8 points last week, but it's 1 to 12 Tip in the match betting, 16 to 1 to draw, and 8 to 1 Dublin, and 9 point handicap, I suppose, where the main interest will be. Tip -9, 10 to 11, 11 to 1 to draw, and Dublin +9 is evens.
I watched the highlights of that Tipperary match against Westmeath, and it just seemed to me, do you know when you get a really good racehorse and it's running, might be the first run of the year, it's running in maybe a track like Newton Abbott or somewhere, and it's after winning the Cheltenham the previous year, and it just plods around on the bridle, nice and easy, wins by 2.5 lengths, and you're saying to yourself, why the hell did that horse not win by 20 lengths? It won at Cheltenham last year, what's going on? This Tipperary team is only in second gear, and don't try and tell me otherwise, Damien.
Well, I'm not going to try. I don't know.
I said, don't try and tell me otherwise.
I think you'd want a little bit better performance. Like with all the things that have been going on around Tip, and like you'd think they'd want to come out and put out some kind of a performance. There's a few problems in the team as well. Like some players don't seem to be in very good form. Like Seamus Callan and Noel McGrath has dropped for this weekend. Like a lot of their main players just don't seem to be in that good form. Like they could definitely come out this weekend and just blow Dublin out of the water. They always have that ability. Like ability levels aren't the problem. It's just whether the work rate is still there, whether just some players are coming back into form. To be honest, Tipper are either going to blow the handicap out of the water, I think, or it could get very tight. And if it gets tight, like, I'm not sure that you'd trust.
Oh, don't do it, Damien. Don't do it. Don't tip Dublin. Don't. You'll regret it.
I'm not going to tip Dublin. I'm just going to say, like, there could be a few problems in the tip camp. Like, it's hard to know, really. Like, that Westmeath performance, I know you say they might be kind of blown out 30 diesel, but, like, it's still not good enough. It's not good enough to beat Westmeath by 8 points at home if you're Tipperary. Like, you just need to see a bit more than that.
Why obliterate them by 30 points? Like, why not just go through the motions?
I'm not saying obliterate them by 30 points, but like there were 3 points up with like 15 minutes left, and the Tip goalie made a good save. Like, there's levels. Like, you want to keep yourself safe as well. Like, and kind of just kind of make yourself safe so you can use the subs in the second half. Give everyone a kind of a half off just to prepare for next week's game. I'd be, as if speaking as a Tip man myself, I'd be a little bit worried about how Tip are going at the moment.
See, now we found out the real truth. You're a Tip man. That's why you're being so negative. Well, I'll tell you here now, if Dublin beat Tipperary in this match, I will be astonished, absolutely astonished. Now, the bet of the weekend still has to come later on, and I've got a certainty for listeners, so stay tuned for that. But I'd be shocked if Tipperary didn't win quite convincingly. Now, and I think probably the best bet on the coupon is maybe Dublin don't really create enough goal chances, I think. No Dublin goal at around 5-2, I think, is a little bit of value. Is there anything you like in the markets here, Damien? That
sounds like a decent bet there. I liked John O'Dwyer first goal scorer, 7-1. As I was saying, Callanan's a little bit off form maybe, and John McGrath's there. He's always around, and he scores a lot more goals, and he probably does get a little bit overpriced just because people back Callanan and John McGrath a bit more. But 7-1 Bubbles, I think, could be a decent bet first goal scorer.
Okay, Bubbles for first goal scorer for Tipperary. So last week's competition winner was David Cronin, who gets €25 worth of free bets credited to his account as he correctly answered that Anthony Cunningham, our guest on last week's show, was the Galway hurling manager before Micheál Donoghue took the reins. So this weekend's question is, we're switching to football this time, who was the last team to beat Dublin in the All-Ireland Football Championship? So who was the last team to beat Dublin in the All-Ireland Football Championship? Tweet your answer with the hashtag Postcast, and the winner will be announced in next week's show.
Paddy's gearing up for the GAA All-Ireland Football and Hurling. For all live TV championship games, it's money back as a free bet if your losing first goal scorer scores a goal anytime. Max £20. Excludes shops. T's and C's apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back to the GAA Postcast. I'm joined by Paddy Power's hotshot odds compiler Damien Fitzgerald, and it's time to have a look at all the football action this weekend. Everywhere you look, there's a football match. No matter what you can do this weekend, all you'll see is football, football, football. If you're making the dinner, one is going to hit you in the head. Quickly, before we move on to this weekend's action, Damien, last weekend, obviously, Kerry, a stroll in Fitzgerald Stadium in Killarney for Kerry. Very, very, very impressive. Now, I actually got my nap up last weekend. Very, very comfortably, I got my nap up. I tipped Cork to score over 14.5 points. That came up on the bridle. A last-minute point from Donnacha O'Connor with the last kick of the game got me over the line. But was it a case of Kerry being that good, or is this Cork team just finished?
Well, obviously, Cork aren't great now, but Kerry were very, very good. When you look at that Kerry team, personally, I think they're going to win the All-Ireland. If you've got two inside forwards of the standard of James O'Donoghue and Paul Geaney, you're going to cause everyone trouble. Like, there's no other team that can say they have players like that. They're giant favourites now at 8-1 for Footballer of the Year, and it could be a little bit big because I can't really see it going outside them if Kerry win the All-Ireland. Kerry are into 94 for the All-Ireland now. I still think that could be a good bet. Like, I just fancy them. I think they've been really good all year. The league final, they bet Dublin, that was without James O'Donoghue, and when you add him onto that team, I just think I think they're going to win the All-Ireland.
Okay, there we go. Strong vote for Kerry for the All-Ireland for Damien Fitzgerald. And very, very quickly, Cork, like, They don't know what they're at, do they? Like, it's like watching, your own club at home, maybe the second or third team in the club, a junior C team, where they're literally going out on the pitch and nobody really knows what they're at. They just seem to turn up on the day and whatever happens. And sure, look, if we can get within 10 points of Kerry, sure, look, it'll be great. There's no method to the madness in Cork at all, is there?
No, it seems to have gone altogether at Cork football. Like, there doesn't seem to be any sort of buy-in from anyone, from the players, from the county board. It just looks like they're going through the motions, as you say. Like, there is talent in Cork, maybe not as much as there is in Kerry, but Cork should be like on players at top 5 or 6 county. They've had like great under-21 football teams over the last like 5 or 10 years. They're obviously not getting it together, and like they just need to kind of tear it down and start again. And really, like,
you worry, like some of the stories coming out of Cork, like about not being able to get a pitch to train on during the winter, and stuff like that. That's amateur stuff. The game has moved on since then. Like, you
can say that, but like you'd hear similar enough stories before this year, maybe, about the hurlers. So if they get the right manager in and everyone buys in, they can turn things around, because there will be talent in Cork. But
is there off the top of your head, is there one manager that springs to mind that Cork could do it?
Well,
Jim McGuinness is in China, so we can't have him.
Jim McGuinness in China. Like, I don't know. Like Cork, I think the thing in Cork is I don't think Cork are ever going to go for an outside manager. So you could see someone like John Cleary maybe taking it, who had success with the under-21 teams. But I think just Cork are very traditional, and I don't think they'll be going for an outside manager, despite what probably be the best thing for them at the moment. But I don't think it'll ever happen in Cork.
Okay, doke. So Kerry are going to win the All-Ireland, and Cork might be in the second-tier championship in a couple of years' time, the way they're going. So that's the reflections on last week's Munster final. So obviously the big game this weekend, we've got a heap of qualifiers, but the Connacht football final, repeat of last year's clash between Galway and Roscommon. Some Paddy Power prices.
Galway are the favourites at 2-5, 8-1 to draw, and Roscommon at 11-4. Our handicap is Galway -4 evens, 10-1 the handicap draw, and Roscommon +4 at 10-11.
Now I'm going to give my view first here, because I think Galway are pretty solid favourites here. I don't see this Roscommon team. I don't know. I think they could be at the end of their cycle, to be honest. Beating a poor Leitrim side doesn't really get me too excited. What do you think, Damien?
I kind of disagree there. It's hard to know what Roscommon are where they are, really. They obviously, I don't think they put that much effort into the league this year compared to last year. And they're coming in 11-4 looks a little bit of a big price to me. I think there's a lot of talented players in that Roscommon squad coming through from underage teams. And when you look at Galway don't seem to be the best favourites sometimes. They're good. They'll raise themselves against Mayo, but like, I'm not sure as favourites I would trust this Galway team. Like, when you see what Tip did to them last year in the All-Ireland quarter-finals, they're probably a little bit further on now, but I think at 11-4 Roscommon might be worth a chance. There's a lot of talent in that Roscommon team. Okay,
I think I've got a bet here. Over 1.5 Galway goals at 11-8 I think is a cracking bet. Galway got 3-16 in the replay last year, and Roscommon conceded 2 goals to Sligo last year, 2 goals to Clare in the qualifiers last year. Monaghan and Dublin got 2 goals against them in the league, and Galway got 12 goals in their 7 league games. So I think there is goals in this Galway team. I know they didn't get one against Mayo, but they did create chances, and David Clark played well. I can see them getting 2 goals. I think 11-8. I think that's a shade too big.
Yeah, maybe. I think Roscommon, I think their league form was very poor, and like, people are taking a lot out of that, but like, I don't think that's their true form. Maybe I think like they've concentrated on the league for the last 2 years and done very well. I think they might have just changed things this year. Maybe decided we're going to concentrate on championship, and like, if they win on Sunday, nobody cares about their league form anymore. So it could be a kind of a gamble from Kevin McStay, and I just think there's enough doubt about the Galway team to think that Roscommon might still be a good bet.
Okay, so we're clashing on that one, Damien. Moving on to the qualifiers, a hive of activity here. We've got plenty of matches. The first one up, and I think the bet of the summer so far is at Breffni Park, 2 o'clock on Saturday. It's Cavan v Tipperary. Now, my advice to everybody is listen in now. Listen in. don't tell a soul, and take is it even money, Cavan -2, Damien?
It is, yeah.
Even money, Cavan -2. This is buying money. As your racing friend in Paddy Power would say, Frank Hickey. I cannot see anything other than a convincing Cavan victory here. I know their recent qualifier form hasn't been terrific, and they were beaten by Derry last year, but they did get the All-Ireland quarter-final a couple of years ago in 2013 when they beat, I think, 4 teams in the qualifiers. And, they didn't play badly. They were a width of a post away from getting a draw against Monaghan. They welcomed back Killian Clark. Tomas Core is back. They were more convincing than the final scoreline suggests, I thought, against Offaly. They were 114 to 9 points up after 43 minutes, and then they took their foot off the gas, with a player sent off. They are a Division 1 team this year. I think they will completely outclass Tipperary. I thought that Michael Quinlivan was definitely out, but you're telling me that he's not 100% out, and that would give me a little bit of cause for concern. But even if Michael Quinlivan is playing, this Tipperary team simply have to be bruised by the way they exited the Munster Championship against Cork. That game was there for the taking. Cork got 1 point in the first half. They had the win in the second half. Tip should have won that match, and they didn't. And I think Cavan could easily beat them here. Discuss.
I wouldn't be as gung-ho about it as you. I think
Damien, are you going to agree with me on anything this week?
No, it's better if we don't agree. We get to. I think Tip, as you said, they'll be very disappointed with how they went out against Cork. Cavan played well against Monaghan. I don't think qualifiers maybe suit Cavan as much as Ulster Championship does. I think they're better in a tight game. They got bet in a kind of a high-scoring game to Derry last year in the qualifiers, and I think if this turns into a high-scoring game again, Tipperary definitely have a chance. As you were saying, the word is Quinlivan might have a chance of playing 50-50, so if he appears, it obviously makes a big difference to Tipperary's price. He's probably one of the players in the country that makes most difference to a team's price.
It's ligaments though, I've done ankle ligaments before, and it's very, very hard to get right. It's a tricky injury. I'm not sure, even if he does play, whether he's going to be right.
Yeah, that could be true now. That could be true. I think there is other good players on the Tip team. Like Conor Sweeney is obviously a top class footballer, and their half-back line is very good. But going away to Cavan is difficult as well, even though they did beat Derry in Breffni Park last year, so it won't be new to them. I'm not completely convinced by Cavan in a game like this.
Even my little rant there, does that not convince you?
It helped a bit, but we maybe a little bit more, and we'll see.
Okay, well, don't listen to Damien, listen to me. Get on Cavan -2 even money. You can thank me next week. I drink Hop House. You can get it in any kind of pubs around. It even does bottles and off license. You can send it to the Capel building here in Dublin, where the Racing Post office is. So there you go. Cavan -2 will beat Tipperary by 2 points or more. So that's one of the football qualifiers, and the best one, the one that I'm looking forward to most. But I will be in Park College at 6 o'clock on Saturday evening for Meath's clash with Donegal. As a proud but realistic Meath supporter, I'm not fully convinced about this current Meath team. I don't know what to expect from this, but the one thing I do know, Damien Fitzgerald, is that this Donegal team is on a downward spiral, and I think they have got mixed messages. I think they're still slightly in the Jim McGuinness era, and they have so many memories of that strategy of packing their defence and playing on their counter-attack, and Rory Gallagher has obviously tried to bring that to a new level, but I think they're confused, and they looked confused against Longford. They looked seriously confused. They didn't create goal chances. They struggled over a poor Longford team. Could this be Meath's chance to get a big win over one of the big teams in Ireland?
Well, I'm going to finally agree with you a little bit here, David. I think Meath have a very good chance here. They obviously weren't very impressive last week against Sligo, but Donegal were very poor against Longford as well. And in a game like this, a qualifier game, two teams, you'd always like to be on the home team. Meath are 23-10, 9-1 to draw, and 4-9 Donegal. So you're getting a decent enough price on Meath here. 3-point handicap, evens Meath +3, 9s the draw, handicap draw, and evens Donegal -3. Yeah, I think it'll be a very, very tight game. I don't think either side will really open it up that much, and it could be a fairly low-scoring game, I'd say. very tight, and in a tight game, I'd always just pick the home side. I think Meath could be worth a bet.
Go man, Damo. Go man. You're slowly but surely coming alongside. So hopefully Meath can do the business against Donegal. Meath, like if you do fancy Meath -1 at 3-1. There's a small bit of value in that for a game that's likely to be tight. I certainly wouldn't put anybody off backing Meath -1 at 3-1. Yeah,
no, definitely. I think Meath could. It will be very, very tight. I think. I could see there's a bit of 11-2 out there, no goal scorer in this game. I think, and I think that's a very good bet. I don't see there being many goals, and I think it'll be a very tight game.
Okay, dokes. So we've got some hope for Meath against Donegal. And the rest of the qualifiers, anything catch your eye here, Damien? We've got Clare v Mayo, we've got Carlow v Leitrim, Wexford v Monaghan.
Armagh against Westmeath as well. I kind of fancy Armagh to beat Westmeath in that game. Maybe not beat them. Maybe if you're going to chance something on a bigger handicap, like -5, -6 Armagh. I think Armagh -6 is around. Armagh -6 is 11-4. Like, I think if Armagh win this game, they could win it fairly easily. Like, as we saw against Dublin, Westmeath looked like they didn't have a clue how to defend, to be honest. And Armagh, one thing you would say about them is they've got very talented forwards. So I think Armagh could win this game, and I think they could win it easily. I think it's worth taking a chance that they win it easily at like -6 at 11-4, a bigger price.
So there we go. Armagh to beat Westmeath quite convincingly in round 2 of the qualifiers for Damien Fitzgerald from Paddy Powers. So all that's left to do now is reveal our best bets of the weekend.
And that the 2-point handicap could be obliterated.
Now, I did say that when Mayo were playing Galway, and obviously I was completely wrong. But I have got a new one for you, Jack, that I hope will be used next week, and I hope it will lead into the naps next week, that I said that Cavan were absolute certainties to beat Tipperary, and they will do so by more than 2 points. So obviously my nap this weekend is going to be Cavan -2 at even money against Tipperary. Beat that, Damien Fitzgerald.
I'm going to keep it simple. Kilkenny to beat Waterford at 5-6.
There you go. So there's a nice double for you, paying just under 3-1. Kilkenny to beat Waterford and Cavan -2. Now don't forget it's at 2 o'clock, so the bet you're probably better off just backing Cavan -2 now, because you might forget about it in the morning and then you might think the match is in the evening, but it's at 2 o'clock at Breffni Park. Cavan -2 against Tipperary. So that's it for this week's show. My sincere thanks to Damien Fitzgerald and for keeping the show on the road. Unfortunately we didn't have a guest, but we will have guests. We might even get 2 guests next week to make up for this week. You've been listening to the Racing Post podcast, and I've been David Jennings.
Paddy's gearing up for the GAA All-Ireland Football and Hurling. For all live TV championship games, it's money back as a free bet if your losing first goal scorer scores a goal anytime. Max £20. Excludes shops. T's and C's apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.